Hello everyone, this is Astocky here and welcome back to a quick update on where I am at with TerraFirma Craft. You can see I have mined out a huge amount of basalt. I even started a mine that was going down a bit. I came this way. I was kind of going everywhere, basically because the silly prospecting pick doesn't tell you which way to go. It just tells you almost like hot, cold, cold, hot. But basically what we have here, if you right click with your pick, it will tell you that it is found hematite, which is iron. So that is basically iron ore that I found there. And while it might look like a lot, unlike Minecraft, vanilla, where each piece of ore that you drop will drop 1 ingot, or 1 ingot worth of ore, in this particular mod, there's lots of impurities and lots of other stuff that's within that ore. So you can sometimes need up to 5 or 6 pieces of ore to get 1 ingot out. But that's kind of balanced out by the fact that you can get much more per ingot than you would otherwise. And you can see here I've used, once again, my support beams to basically hold the roof up to make sure there's no cave-ins. But what I was really looking for was tin. And that's why I started this little mining expedition here downwards, to see if I could find, and there you can see that I found some granite and sort of started to branch off. But I was then also going this way, and here I have found some bismuthinite. But it's not important what it's called. What's important is what it is. And what it is the first ore that I can actually make use of. I'm not sure exactly how to light this up, but yeah, it is the first ore that I can actually use. There are 3 ores. There's this, which is bismuthinite. There's also zinc and tin are the 3 ores that you can work with, basically your little campfire. So I'm going to get, like I said, I'm probably going to get a bunch of this. Actually, I have a whole lot of these crystals. I'm going to throw away cobblestone because you really don't need cobblestone very often. I'm going to split that in half and then throw some cobblestone away. You almost always have way more cobblestone than you need in this because you just run around forever trying to find different things. This is a really good collection of ore that I found here. The problem I have is I could very easily bring the roof down on myself the way I'm doing this, because you have to be quite careful how you mine. You can also see that ore stacks in pieces of 8. So once I get the next 3, I'm going to stop digging. Because obviously there's no point in digging if you can't take it back with you. Hopefully I can get that one. Excellent. So that's 2 stacks of 8. I'm going to need to place a piece of cobblestone there, one there, and one there, so I can actually get back out. So the next thing that I'm going to need, you can see I also mine this out here. So the next thing that I'm going to need to be able to actually work anything with is an anvil. And to get an anvil you need smooth stone, and pretty much the easiest way is just to carve little pillars out like this and then break the piece off the bottom, and you can see the cobblestone that I broke off the bottom pops off and a piece of smooth stone pops off the top. So you can see I've got 13 from basically clearing this room out this way. There are slightly more efficient ways you can do it, but anytime you try and get creative you risk a cave-in, so having those pieces like that really does help. This is basically the distance you can have the support beams apart and not have to worry. So you can see chasing my hematite, I just went crazy. You can see that I'm also level 2, and I think I was probably level 3 or 4 or something like that at the end of the last video. I did actually die, not from a mob, but I fell to my demise, which is most unfortunate. Oh, my wheat's starting to grow, which is good, because I'm getting a little bit hungry. Hopefully that spider won't get me. I did hear the spider. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to need is a bellow. And you create a bellow like this with 3 pieces of leather. So it doesn't take a genius to know that I have no leather. So what I'm going to do is throw as much of my stuff as I can in here. These gems I believe are basically useless, but I'm going to keep them anyway because well, I see no reason not to. What I'm going to do now is go for a bit of a wander around, and I will unpause the video when I find some cows. Well, I'm also going to need some paper, so I might actually do this here while I'm here right now. Whoops. Didn't mean to break that one. Okay. There we go. 9, that's plenty. Pig, it's not a pig I'm after a cow. Like I said, I'll pause the video and I'll come back soon. Okay, welcome back. I don't actually know how far I went. Well, it felt like I went forever. I'm hoping I can get back actually. It was somewhere over in that direction, and the only thing that actually kept me going was that I found a whole heap of pork. Because yeah, I've been literally like running for ages and ages and ages and ages and ages and ages and ages. And if you have a look at what I was having a look at, there is no recipe for leather. So even in my test world, that was the only way that I could get leather. So javelin, cow, in the face. Oh, I didn't even drop any leather. I've come all this way to find cow leather, and he didn't even drop any. Okay, I think I'm going to have a significant problem in that I went like literally days in this direction, and I think I found 3 cows, and I've killed 2 of them, and neither of them have dropped what I'm after. There's the last one. It actually got to the point where I thought there was a bug. Wow. 1 leather. Okay, look. In the essence of this actually working... Cheetah. Okay, so I was planning on making this a short episode. I was planning on very quickly just grabbing some leather and getting going. Instead, that's not the case. Nice. 2 piggies with 1 piggy killing stick. Although, it seems like my javelin broke. Ah. I like that javelin. Hehe. They're like little tiny squid heads. Okay, so once again I'm going to head back to base, and I will see you when I get back there. Back soon. Okay, so I made it back. I actually got a little ambitious thinking I was going to end up with a whole lot of wheat when I broke those nicely ripe when I got back, but I didn't. And I've already told you that bone meal doesn't work. I'm going to need to... I found a whole lot of maple on my way back, and I thought I would go, and I got 3 saplings out of it and 1 more chestnut sapling, so that's all cool. Oops, wrong tool. Just throw my maple log in there, get that fire going. While I'm doing that, I'm going to cook up my last piece of pork. Turns out you can't throw pork in the log side. Now what do I need to do? Ah, that's right. I need to take my clay molds, and I need to put my thought I could put them in. Sorry, my that's because I need ceramic molds, not clay molds. Okay, there we are, ceramic molds. And yeah, that's where they go, in the output side. So you can see the pork chop is slowly heating up. There we go. So now I'll grab a piece of maple. Actually, I'll grab some willow first because I have heaps of that. Now I take one of my bits of bismuthine, you can see that it'll go warming. Now this has to get up to a certain temperature, so they're warming, so that little star after warning means you'll call it effectively like warming 1, warming 2. So it needs to get to a certain temperature, and then it will melt and fill up these ceramic molds with like liquid metal. And so that's kind of what you really want to aim for. Unfortunately, it won't actually get hot enough based on what we have there. So what I need to do is take some of this willow and some of this cobble. I need to make myself a new axe because I broke my last axe cutting down the maple trees. What was I doing? What was I making willow planks for? Ah, yes, that's right. Bellows. So there's my 6 pieces of wood. So you put the 6 pieces of wood around those and you get a bellows. Now basically what a bellows does is you place it down and it will automatically face away from you. That's very important to remember so you don't look silly. So you automatically face away from you, so you place it like that and you can see the hole is now pointing at my fire. So you can see my temperature now is that kind of low red, not very good, but it was still enough to melt my bismuth, which is actually much hotter than I thought it would be. But see how the temperature's down that kind of low red. Now if I hold down right click on this, what it does is it kind of pumps air into the fire and you can see all the extra sort of fiery sparks around it. Now the temperature has actually gone up quite substantially, so that's actually, I guess, even with willow, which burns at quite a low temperature. I think I mentioned last time that if you go to the wiki, it'll actually tell you how things work. So a willow wood burns at a low temperature, whereas the first one that I threw in, which was ash, burns at a medium-high temperature. So you can see it's there that it's hot. Now I'll just keep kind of pumping it, pumping it, pumping it. So now it's hot too. Believe it needs to get up to very hot before it'll melt. So pump it a bit more. Now the next thing that I'm going to need is an anvil. And the way you make an anvil is you take your smooth stone and you go to a crafting table and you build like an eye fashion like that. I already had plenty of smooth stone, so I already made one. And you need to put this right next to your fire, because basically as soon as this comes off the heat, it'll start cooling down. And it only has a certain temperature of being liquid, because there it's very hot 1 at the moment. It only has a certain range, and in this case it only has like 2 stars of range before it goes from being a solid, because you can't work it when it's a liquid, so it's got to go from being a solid, it's got to go from being a liquid to being a solid that's still hot enough that you can work it with a hammer. And speaking of hammer, that's the next thing that I need to make. I like to look at the white hammers, so I'm going to make a granite hammer, although it really makes no difference because they look the same when they come out. So it's like a prospector's pick with just 1 more bit extra, and that makes a hammer. So you come to your anvil and you place your hammer in the bottom left hand corner. The bottom right hand corner is where you will put something else later on. Just got to keep pumping this because it doesn't seem to be getting hot enough. Hot 4, come on. Keep that air going in. Look, very hot, just needs to get to very hot 1 and then it'll melt. And I'm really quickly burning through my willow, which is okay. That's the reason why I picked up maple on the way back. Maple burns at a very high temperature. It's very hard to split though, so it does quite a lot of damage to your axe, but I don't actually intend to use it for any of that. All I intend to do is just basically burn it. But I was actually really lucky to find that on the way back, although like I said I did cover a huge amount of ground, so odds are I was going to find something. Don't know how far these have to be apart, so I'm going to kind of try and space them out a little bit because I want them to grow. Come on, how are we doing? Up to hot already. Pump this a bit more, get it going. Still on hot. Once I actually get this melted, see how you can see how there's like a damage bar at the bottom. That damage bar is actually how much you have filled in the tray, and once it's full, it'll change its name to. Actually, I'm not sure what it'll change its name to, but I'm going to take all that wood out because I don't want to burn any more maple than I have to. And it's so close. Come on. There we go. So we have 1 full container and 1 container that's not quite full. And I might actually, if I've got enough heat in here, throw those logs back in and let this one keep heating up. So now while it's a liquid, there we go, so while it's a liquid, we place it in here, and we have to actually shape it now. So you can see here I have to do a hit last, a hit second from last, and a hit third from last. So anything on the left side is called a hit, or sorry, heavy and light hits. That will move it to the left. Punch, bend, upset and shrink will each move it to the right. So I'm going to go, see, it's still a liquid, so I can't actually move it yet. Now the liquid term is gone, so now I can go upset, upset, and then go hit, 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 and you can see that I ended up inside that little region, and I ended up with one bismuth ingot. Very hot, come on. I'm going to do this and make myself a second ingot, well, hopefully make myself a second ingot before I run out of wood. I'm going to pause the video and come back when I'm ready to go on to the next step. So, back soon. Okay, once again, here it is. I filled my little ingot up. It's lucky I got 16 of them because I just used 7 to make 2 ingots. So you can see there that it still once again says very hot liquid. I have to wait till it drops to very hot 0 and lets go of the star, sorry, so that then it'll actually be at the point where I can work it. And you can see that this one here is cooled right down now back to 0. There we go. So now I need to once again kind of go shrink, shrink, hit, 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 and I'm in the area. And I have another bismuth ingot. So now this is actually in the temperature where I could work it if I wanted to, but I need something to work it into. The other thing that kind of I think is crazy is that tree there is my maple tree, the one that was supposed to grow very slowly. It actually grew faster than my willows did, so I'm not sure what's going on. It must be random, and that I guess the chance of it growing is quite low, because yeah, that was, I would call that fast. Oop. And I think they've changed the way animals spawn in this as well, because those squids weren't there before, and I just kind of slept and they were there now, so they, I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but yeah, they seem to have changed how those have gone. Now I'm going to cook some steak up while I'm waiting for this. So now the next thing that I need to do is I need to make a certain kind of table. So I'm going to take that ash, because I don't think I have any willow left, do I? Nope. And ash is easy to split, and easy to split means it won't damage my axe too much, which is good. There's 4 pieces of ash. Just going to get 8 because you never know how many you're going to need. And you can see here I've placed a boat, but I don't want a boat. I turn my sugarcane into paper because what I want to make is a certain kind of special table. So it's a feather, paper, and then a boat underneath gives you a thing called a scribing table. So if you remember in the last episode, I grabbed some ink, and what I'll do now is place my scribing table down, place a line with my ink, place my paper in, and you'll see that it gives you a plan for a chisel head. Now you actually have to get the plan in the right order. If I just randomly move these things around, it would give me nothing at all. But if I put them in a nice straight line, you get a plan for a chisel head. Now I can take my bismuth ingot, put it back in the fire, and once I get it hot enough that I can work it again, I can then take it out of the fire, put it back on here, hit it with the hammer again, but this time with the plan in there. And then what I will end up making is I will follow the plan and make my ingot into a chisel head. Now the same thing works for a sword or for a pickaxe, so that's where it's a lot more difficult, but you use your metal much more wisely. So you end up with, you know, one piece of metal or one ingot becoming maybe a pickaxe or a shovel or a chisel or whatever kind of tool it is you want to make. And chisel is really the most important one to start with. So there we go, we've got it hot. This time we want to get it to very hot, but not to the point where it becomes liquid, because if it becomes liquid we've got to shape it back into an ingot again. So as soon as it reaches very hot, I'm going to take it off, there we go, throw it in here, and you can see this time I have to move it all the way over there, and my options are different. I have to do a draw but not last, a hit but not last, and a hit. So we'll go shrink, 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 take it past, and then draw, hit, one more hit, hit. There we go. So I met all of those rules, and here I have myself one bismuth chisel head. So now I take my stick, take my chisel head, and I have a bismuth chisel. And you might think, what on earth would you want a chisel for? Well, I'll get to that, but before I do that, I'm going to try and see if I can remember how to make a sword. I think it's something like this. Maybe it's bigger there. There? I'm going to pause the video and come back once I know how to make a sword. Back soon. Okay, it turns out I was doing the plan right, but I had forgotten to put my piece of paper in. So those are my markings for my sword blade. And so what I can do now is if I take my chisel plans out and put my sword plans in, and then I've once again got to get this ingot up to the right temperature. So a little bit more maple. I'm going to try and be, I guess, resource efficient and not wasting too much. And then I'm going to use my hammer, which you can see is wearing out. So each touch you do on either side will actually start to wear it out. Warming, come on, warm faster. Hot. Certainly getting there now. Ooh, another one. Yeah, there's something going on. That willow is broken. I'm like, why didn't I pick? I did pick it up. Okay. Yeah, for some reason that willow doesn't appear to want to grow, so I'm gonna move it somewhere else. Here. Hopefully I haven't turned that ingot into liquid yet. Nope, but it's very hot, which is perfect. So throw it in. Okay, let me just check something. It turns out you can't make bismuth into a sword. Okay, well that stinks. Let's try something a bit different. I think it's something like this. What are you? Mace head. Okay. Hopefully I can make a bismuth mace. Mace head. Bismuth. Either it's not hot enough for it, or I can't do that either. This is the first time I've actually tried to make a weapon, so it could be that you need to have a solid kind of metal before you can actually make a weapon. So while that's happening, I'm going to grab all this basalt cobblestone that I have and place it in here with my chisel. And you can see my chisel is actually already damaged. That's because I was off center when I made it. So I'm just going to basically turn all of these into bricks. Oh, get out of the fire. Get out of the fire. And I'm thinking I'm going to make up enough to make a whole stack, so I need another 22. And my chisel. And basically these bricks are used for a lot of different things, so it's pretty important to make effective use of them. Oh no. So what just happened then is my bismuth turned to liquid, and I didn't have a ceramic mold in there to catch it when it turned to liquid. So it basically just oozed everywhere and I lost it. So that is something you have to be really, really extra careful about, that you don't be stupid and end up losing your hard-earned metals. Okay, so the last thing that I'm going to make in this video before I finish up is I'm going to come over here and lay out the replacement for my campfire. So basically what this is this is a brick on the bottom and then bricks all around, and what this is called is a forge. Sure, this is called a forge, yes. And so basically what you need to have is you need to have your forge, and it needs to have at least one block of access to air. So what I'm going to do is do this and make like a little chimney on the back of it, because this is the design that I saw when I was watching a video from the wiki about it, and I think that's an excellent idea because, as I have mentioned previously, why can I not sprint? There we go. Because as I mentioned previously, if you get rain directly on your whatever, it cools it down. So this means the rain falls on this square, not on the square that I don't want it to fall on, so that this here is nice and protected. And it also makes a kind of cool chimney at the back. So what I need to do now to actually get this fired up and working, because it takes charcoal rather than logs. So I'm just gonna finish cooking my steak while I still have some warmth there. I'm gonna grab my charcoal, because like I said, this thing takes charcoal. And we'll throw our charcoal in here. We need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pieces, I think. And then to make it a little bit easier to light, oh, I'm already carrying my paper. Throw a couple of pieces of paper in just to make it a bit easier to light. Let's try this again. Couple of pieces of paper, and now if I right click, there we go. So you can see that it has lit up, and I don't need to click on it again. And now I can place my beef in there, and it will cook. So this one actually has 5 slots for fuel. All of the fuel has to be charcoal or coal, and then up the top up here you have 5 slots for whatever it is that you want to cook. So, and basically the way, if you put fuel in up the top, it slides down to the bottom, and the bottom thing here will always be the hottest, and then it will be cooler as it goes up. You can see already though, without that piece of charcoal even going in there, with just the charcoal that was already in it, this is rapidly racing up to much hotter than my campfire was getting, even with bellows. So this device that I've just made is basically, it's basically a requirement for kind of moving forward. So I'll probably still cook some food over here because I have lots of logs, but basically that's going to be the end of using that campfire for cooking things. So now I'm going to place my bellows just there and use my bellows for keeping this extra hot if I ever need it to be extra hot for any reason. So now I'm going to just quickly come down here, actually, before I get eaten by mobs, sleep the night. I can see that skeleton off in the distance there already. I'm going to grab my bismuthite, my ceramic mold, and just kind of show you just how quickly now that for some reason it's not letting me put that in there. It might actually be that it won't cook. Yeah, it might actually be that it's too hot in here to cook that, so that it won't actually work. Okay, never mind. I'm set up for the next phase of my plan then, which is very hot things. So for now, I think I'm going to have to continue to cook up my metal, or at least my little metal, the slow way using this. And yeah, no mace for this episode. So I guess at least you've got a bit of an idea now of how you can go about getting things, and how you can go about making use of those things when you get them. I think, you know, this mod, it's obviously much more time consuming to do different things, but at the same time I think there's, you know, just the amount of time I spent searching just to try and find the simplest piece of ore, and then I've just thrown a huge portion of it away. I mean, it adds a whole kind of new challenge and new satisfaction to the game that I think is just, it's really missed by vanilla Minecraft at the moment. So I guess I hope you guys all check this mod out. This is probably going to be the last episode of this that I upload for quite some time, because really there's no point me uploading another episode to do the same thing again. So I'm basically not going to upload any more episodes until I get to the point where I am ready to go on to, I guess, new metals, new materials, and maybe mixing alloys and things like that. So thank you very much for watching. I will be playing the mod still, but I'm just not going to be uploading any episodes for a while. Again, thanks for watching. Astocky out.